Why does every Gen Z now want to own a camcorder, a colourful point and shoot, or even an MP3 player? Well, let's start at the beginning. I was born in 1999, the very infant stages of the internet. Google was a baby, YouTube wasn't even born, and becoming a social media content creator didn't even make sense. My generation is one of the last to remember a time in our childhood where screens didn't exist, or the only one was a bulky machine in the family computer room where you fought over with your brothers playing PC games in Club Penguin. I got an AOL email address at 11 years old. Apparently that was vintage in 2011. Plenty of my friendship group got social media at 13 years old. We were able to connect with people on the other side of the world every day at our fingertips from our phones. Our teenage brains were vulnerable, impressionable, naive to this consistent, convenient onslaught of information. Some good, some not so good. The speed of this technological growth only advanced as I became an adult. From Instagram influencers to streaming music on Spotify to watching movies on Netflix to saving photos to iCloud to AI chatbots to older folks saying, "What did we used to do before phones?" to not remembering what life was like before mainstream access to the internet. Okay, so I'm not advocating that any of these things are good or bad. They all have their flaws and against. The growth of technology in the last 10 to 20 years has created a response, a counterculture, if you will. A yearning for technology before I even existed, predating even when my generation was alive, maybe a time that was slightly simpler. I think it's becoming a real trend now again to tune back into more nostalgic ways of creating or even experiencing content or art. I remember being handed my granddad's 35mm camera from my mum when I was 18. I'd already been playing around with photography for a few years, but it totally opened up my eyes to another way of approaching the medium. It slowed it down, the kind of really tangible crank and click of loading the film and being able to slow the whole process and only having 36 exposures to buy the film and develop it probably made me a better photographer. It just felt a more authentic way of making the art. I guess the technology was also novel as well because I hadn't grown up with it myself. I remember showing photos to people in my family who, grew up in the 70s, 80s and 90s when film cameras were the norm, and they'd almost forgotten the medium and how quickly it had changed, and that the convenience of taking your phone out now and just being able to capture anything at any moment, and it wasn't just, a special thing that you could do a certain amount of times. Further back, I remember the sort of cameras that my parents had growing up was the Nikon Coolpix one, which I've actually seen a load of my friends get now in bright pink or bright yellow and take them to festivals or throw them around on nights out. And they have such a different look that you can't even describe, even though it's digital, that can't be recreated with phones. We weren't around as adults when those cameras were popular. Or is it like a craving for a time when we were around, when we were kids, that we kind of miss, and using that technology sort of reconnects us back to a time when it felt simpler because you were a child, or when it actually was simpler because there was kind of less technological growth in the world. I think this ripples into all parts of technology, not just photo and video making, but everyone knows vinyl has come back, and yeah, some would argue it has a better quality, richer, warmer sound that you can't really recreate through streaming. But I think it's also the tangibleness of being able to hold the music, hold the art, and it's almost become a ritual for some people in the evening to put on a vinyl while they're making dinner. It's a way to spend your evening that's purposely kind of focused around that. I think it definitely feels like there's an appeal to have separation of where you get your art from. Your phone has everything on it, from video to music to photo, kind of anything you even hold, to even just navigating or looking at your maps, and the convenience of it is amazing. But I think when you're trying to enjoy music or film or any kind of art, you always are thinking as you're looking at it oh, maybe there's something else I can watch that's gonna scratch the dopamine receptor in your brain a little bit more, or there's that temptation to always look at something else. Whereas if you have a device like an MP3 player or a vinyl or a camera that solely does just that, it's a lot more enjoyable to use, and you can kind of appreciate making the art as well as consuming it and receiving it. And I think that's what people are craving more now. It's great to have all that convenience on your phone, but it's also quite overwhelming to have all of that in one place. I've even seen there's something called a dumb phone, which you can buy now, that literally just has like messages, maps. There's no social media on it, and it's purposefully made, for you to live a simpler life but still stay connected. There is a craving for simplicity and authenticity and mindfulness in a lot of aspects of life, and it was inevitable this was going to spill over into our device usage, which can sometimes be the root of that overwhelm. So we know this is a counter-response to fast-growing technology, and we've gone into the fact that it's a novel, tangible, enjoyable thing that kind of gives us nostalgia of the past. But why are we so obsessed with the old, with the past, with a time before we even existed? It's well documented that humans have a very rose-tinted view of the past, that we look at things and call them the good old days and end up romanticizing an era for being amazing and simpler and beautiful, even if it maybe wasn't. A word I discovered recently is anemoia, the profound wistful longing of nostalgia for a time, place or era that one has never personally experienced, derived from Greek anemos, meaning wind, and nous, meaning mind, suggesting a wind of the mind. I was watching Marty Supreme recently, which is set in the 1950s, and I was mesmerised how rich and bold the setting and feeling of the film was. It made me just want to jump right into it. I'm very well aware that the 1950s were full of racism, misogyny, and most people just scraping by, but watching this film made me feel that word, anemoia. I think it made me really want to live in the simplicity of that era, and I think that's what old school camcorders and film cameras being used now, they're trying to recreate that feeling. It's not just a nostalgic response from Gen Z to a time we can remember, but it's a nostalgic response to a time we weren't even alive in. So I asked the Manto team, kind of a vague question, how they felt if life was better before the internet or after the internet. And they could answer that as grandly or simply as they wanted. And I just wanted to read some of the responses. Quote, Benjamin. Life only existed within the community and people you already knew. Everything out of that was alien and hard to come across. Your whole world was a lot smaller, and that can have its own fors and against. Like, we've not evolved quick enough to kind of take in the onslaught of information further than that's outside our village or outside of our community. And that's only happened in the last, few decades that we have this understanding of what's happening on the other side of the world, which is beautiful and amazing for learning and for education and for kind of being compassionate to what other people are experiencing. But at the same time, your brain can't always fathom what's exactly happening in another country, in another time zone, on the other side of the world. There wasn't as much urgency to consume information and internet. The way our attention is used and measured has changed so much as the internet has evolved. So many films are made each year now. So much music is put out. And what comes with that is the ability for anyone to create, for so many more voices to be heard. Anyone can make music and put it on Spotify now. So the accessibility from a creator's point of view is amazing. But then on the other hand, because there is so much more being created, I think there's a pressure on the consumer to consume a lot more. Sometimes because there's so much of it, you become overwhelmed with what to choose, first of all, and what you want to enjoy. I think there's a lot of pressure now to always watch something good. This is a big one from Joshua. I think one big thing I take issue with is the mass accessibility of media. Something about finding new music through borrowing, buying CDs, tapes, vinyls, discovering films through having to go to the cinema or renting, buying on DVD felt so much more exciting. Like you were discovering these things and developing a taste for different art forms through considered decisions rather than just passively consuming them, because it's as easy as opening Spotify or Netflix. Yeah, just big tea, big truths from Josh. Because we kind of don't own anything now but own everything, that you can't really kind of make your own kind of subculture or your own kind of taste with the accessibility of everything. There's something that's really special and unique to the individual consuming the art that can just go into a bookstore or go into a DVD shop and kind of really find their own taste organically in person rather than just spending it digitally online. And I hope I'm not coming across as too negative. I think there's, advantages and disadvantages to the internet. Like, I personally wouldn't know as much about like climate change or kind of queer or feminine issues as I do, and so I'm probably more open-minded because of it. But then there's also the other hand of, you know, seeing horrible hate and the real kind of divisive world that we're living in at the moment is just so much more brought to your attention and can be, you know, very overwhelming for our little like prehistoric brains. So now we've done a little bit of a deep philosophical dive into old age tech and the resurgence of it. I thought I would just share with you a few of my favorites that I own and use on a regular basis to kind of tap in to my creativity in a different way and to create art in a slightly different way rather than just purely relying on digital or modern day form. Starting with the oldest, my granddad's camera I was talking about, which is the Pentax P30T. This was actually one of the more modern 35mm cameras. I think they started making it in the early 90s because it's actually kind of semi-automatic. You can have it on the manual function, but when I was first using film, it was really nice to have that reliance of the automatic setting. It's a little bit lighter than kind of the old, like sort of fully metal ones. I think it's a great beginner camera as well. It's kind of not got the cult following of like, I don't know, like the Canon A1, so you can get it for a bit cheaper online. A film camera that's a little bit more of a cult classic that I spent a little bit more dollar on was the Olympus Mu 2. It is a point and shoot film camera. You can get them in lots of different colors. They're very small and compact. It's a great camera for traveling because it's actually totally weather resistant, so it's great for just chucking around your bag. You can see mine is really battered and scratched up. It definitely wouldn't sell for as much as I bought it for now. It's also got an aperture of 2.8, so for like such a tiny point and shoot camera, like it's so sharp. But if you go into like any kind of vintage shop, definitely get a small point and shoot. They can be really fun to play around with film before you buy something a bit bulkier, and they're always automatic. From a more video perspective, I recently bought a old Samsung. It's like a dad cam that like your dad would take on holiday. It's actually got like a 50 times optical zoom. Like the zoom on it is insane, but the quality of it is like a potato. Like it comes up with some funky colors, like the artifacting is insane. It's like crap in low light. But I just really wanted a digital camera that I could use that didn't have the same kind of pressures that come with it as having like a big, you know, even a cinema camera or even just like a DSLR. And I think I just want to approach like filmmaking from the perspective of more creativity rather than it like looking kind of technically good. Of course, this technology doesn't match the large sensors, the high megapixels, the long zoom lenses, the auto stabilization, auto-focusing cameras that we have today, unless you have a lot of money. But if you just want to weave old digital tech into freelance work or just for documenting your life, they hold novelty, charm, and simplicity, and act as a reminder of why tangible art form is so important and keeps your work feeling refreshed in an ever-changing, modern, technology-driven world. The internet is cool, and technology is cool, but sometimes it's a bit much. And sometimes it's fun to use something else to create. So I really welcome your opinions on this whole discussion. Like, I've heard a lot of people calling like 2026, like the year of analog. And I think it's one of those things that can be a trend and might die off as new trends arise. Or it can be something that we can kind of lean more into, kind of in hope of saving art from AI and, you know, other ways of consuming kind of algorithmic media. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, it'd be great if you could check out the other videos on our channel. And yeah, give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. Anything that brain of yours can think of can be found. We've got mountains of content.